Hi, I'm Mark Lawson, President of ECS Publishing Group, home to E.C. Schirmer Publishing Company, Galaxy Music Corporation, and Morningstar Music Publishers. We are so pleased to offer this showcase of music from the composer Tom Cipullo. We have recently released several new volumes of Tom's music, and you can find all of them listed on our company page in the virtual exhibit hall or on the vocal page of our company website. Tom is joined today by Paul Sperry to start the presentation, and we hope that you will find this session to be enlightening and enjoyable. Thank you for joining us. Now here's Tom Cipullo.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks to all my Nats friends for watching this showcase today. I wanted to invite my dear friend Paul Sperry, a friend for over 30 years, to come and chat a bit because he's been so important to my artistic and my personal life for 30 years. Of course, Paul needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him a little one. He is the tenor that the New York Times called the ideal interpreter, and not only a wonderful advocate for song and American song, but a tremendous educator who created, I think, the first full-year course in American song at Juilliard when not that many people were doing it. So Paul, I wanted to ask you though, I know in 2006, you went to the Nats conference as the keynote speaker and you gave a talk. The address was on the delights of performing American song. Do you have any second thoughts about that?
No, only that since that time, I've learned a lot more songs and have had more delights. I don't really remember much about what I might have said on that occasion. I do know that I probably said that as an American, singing in my own language to people who understood that language was a principal pleasure. And I didn't understand why I kept getting asked, what's your favorite language to sing in? When clearly it would be English, because I'll never sing another one as well. And to make the point, I do remember that I ended up this lecture, and apparently that was a first for Nats, singing to American songs, The Second Law by Darren Hagen, and Another Reason Why I Don't Keep a Gun in the House by someone named Tom Cipullo. And they were, for me, an example of an exceedingly beautiful and moving song, and one of the funniest songs in the repertoire, which is a particular pleasure of mine, is to sing comedy.
Nice. Well, I'd like to talk about a piece that Schirmer is now putting out that you commissioned for me around 1993. And some librarian one day will have to take account of all the composers that you commissioned, especially those that you helped early on in their career. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the circumstances behind rather the Land of Nod.
Sure. I had a childhood friend, Alice Worth Gray. We went to school together from kindergarten through 9th grade, at which point I left. And in later life, my wife and her husband and 4 of us, whenever we got to Berkeley, we made a point of seeing Alice and Gary Gray. Alice sent me a copy of her first published collection of poems. Came out Cleveland University Press, Cleveland State, I guess. And she sent me an extra copy and asked if I had any composer friends who might be interested in setting her things to music. She had a very peculiar sense of humor, very wry, ironic, and at times distressing to people. I loved it. I thought of Tom, whom I had known for a few years by that time. We met actually in '87. And he jumped on them. He thought they were wonderful. And he wrote a song cycle. And Alice, who was phobic of flying, actually got on an airplane with her husband and came east for the premiere and became fast friends with Tom, by the way. And that was just a great thing. And I adore the song cycle. One summer at Songfest, when Tom was a composer in residence, everybody was singing A Death in the Family, which begins touchingly, last night I dreamt I murdered mother, which upsets some people sometimes.
When we premiered this at Merkin, I think it was 93 or 94, and you said that first line, the whole audience shuddered. I thought we wouldn't be allowed to survive on the stage. They were going to storm it. But by the end of the song, you had won them over. So it's a very quirky song cycle, funny. In a minute or two, we're going to hear two songs from it. The first, the title song, The Land of Nod, and that will be performed by Tara Venditti, mezzo, and pianist Stacy Barch. And then we're going to hear your recording, Paul, that you made of A Death in the Family with the wonderful pianist Colette Valentine. And I'm really looking forward to it. Where are we going with American Song, Paul? You think we're headed in the right direction then? Or
Well,
when you started your interest, there were so many fewer groups that performed and presented American Song, and very few recitalists, I think, specializing in American Song. But now we see so many.
It just seems to be proliferating. I know that it's been declared dead by critics for my whole lifetime, and somehow or other seems to be expanding. There are wonderful groups doing song, all kinds of song, but American Song, I remember Francois Leroux telling me, or not telling me, but saying in a talk that I heard him give, that if you trace the history of songs, piano voice, major repertoires, Germany is first. France picks up when Germany begins to ease off, and America picks up where France leaves off, and that the center of song composition in the world is right now here. I believe it. I can't begin to keep up with the amount of American song being composed in New York City, much less nationwide. And it really just delights me. And that publishers, I have to say, are standing behind some composers. Thank God. We need them.
Thank you. It's a great time for me and my colleagues. Thanks for getting the ball started all those years ago. Thank you.
It's been such a treat. And the most important people in the music business are the composers.
Oh.
And I have been saying this since I was quite young. I had this feeling we make our living, or at that time we did, off of dead composers, and we owed something to the living ones. And my favorite example is, I don't think anybody listening to this would know who were the leads in La Boheme when it opened at La Scala. Who premiered it? We don't really know, and we don't really care. But we sure know who Puccini is. And it's the composers that really matter. They're the ones with the genius, and it's up to the rest of us to strive to be somewhere at their level, if we can.
Well, I won't put myself in that category. But thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul, for joining us and for all your support. And it's a pleasure to see you. And now we'll get to hear the first two songs from the cycle commissioned by Paul all those years ago, The Land of Nod.
Dreams of pure spirit are other people's dreams.
I dreamed last night I murdered Mother. Something with poison in it, I think. Although I was determined, had she refused to drink, if no luck with one method, to try another. It's for sure one thing we could all agree. She had it coming. What a nasty character, needlessly obnoxious, egregiously unloving, always unfortunate with children, quarrelsome, hostile, insistently unattractive, not pleasant, no way, and so snarling, snarling, twisted, twisted, jealous, play me. 2 cups on the kitchen counter are the way to go. There were no guilt feelings involved. I left the 2 glasses on the sideboard. 1 plain, 1 in which poison was dissolved. And she, always greedy, drank up both and died. I was perfectly safe, no one suspected me, but nothing's easy. I had attitudinal problems. I worried I would betray myself unnecessarily. Perhaps I'd get drunk and blurt out everything. I reasoned I wouldn't like prison. I saw a gray, lonely cell and myself like Mrs. Harris, looking irritably at my watch to see how long until I got out. I reasoned I could write a lot in there. I would manage, but I would not like it. I reasoned if I lived an exemplary life from then on, never did anything naughty again, no one would turn me in, no one wanted me punished or put in jail. I just have to keep calm, be careful, keep my psyche under control, watch my little quirks. Not go confessing for the excitement of it, and life will go on as usual. That's what I'll do. What a peculiar person I am. It's a wonder my life has gone as well as it has.
The next piece is from my most recent cycle, An Earth to Walk Upon, 6 songs on poems of Dana Gioia. It was commissioned by my dear friend, Michael Anthony McGee, and premiered at the University of North Texas. Crickets was commissioned by Joy and Singing in New York to celebrate the millennium back in 2000. In this wonderful performance, we hear some young performers from Poland. The pocketbook is from the cycle How to Get Heat Without Fire, based on 4 poems by the wonderful poet Marilyn Callett, who is from Knoxville, Tennessee. The poem talks about the glories of shopping and coveting a pocketbook that may be just a bit too expensive.
Fluid Italian suede, Bergdorf, good men.
The next song, Insomnia, comes from a cycle of 10 works for multiple voices, commissioned by Songfest back in 2010. The text is by Dana Gioia.
Mortgaged wall shifting in discomfort, and voices mounting in an endless drone of small complaints, like the sounds of a family that year by year you've learned how to ignore. But now you must listen to the things you owe. All that you've worked for these past years. The murmur of property of things in disrepair. About to come undone, and twisting in the sheets, remember all the faces you could not bring yourself to. Venting a furnace, the floorboards underfoot, the steady accusations of the clock, numbering the minutes, no one will mark. Terrible clarity. This moment brings the useless insight. The unbroken
Between Verses is from a cycle called Glances, 8 musical settings of 7 very short poems by my dear friend, Agata Tujinska. The work was commissioned by Marianne Hart.
Between verses we eat wild strawberries and cabbage soup. We swallow aspirin, we make the bed. Between verses we burn milk. We marvel at a statue of winged Nike. We pity ourselves for a time. We turn autumnal between verses, and on a verse sail away.
The next 2 songs are from America 1968, a cycle I composed, 6 songs on poems by Robert Hayden. Robert Hayden was the first African-American poet laureate of the United States, and his poems are really a marvelous evocation of that era. You're going to hear 2 wonderful performers, and you may remember them because this is a performance given at the Nats Conference in Boston in 2014.
Some days too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black coat. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house, speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. finally ours, this freedom, this liberty, this beautiful and terrible thing, needful to man as air, usable as earth, when it belongs at last to all, when it is truly instinct, brain matter, diastole, systole, reflex action, when it is finally one, when it is more than the gaudy mumbo-jumbo of politicians, this man, this Douglas, this former slave, this Negro, beaten to his knees, exiled, visioning a world where none is lonely, none hunted, alien. This man, superb in love and logic, this man shall be remembered, oh, not with statues' rhetoric, not with legends and poems and wreaths of bronze alone, but with the lives grown out of his life. The lives fleshing his dream of the beautiful, needful thing. When it is finally ours, this freedom, ours.
Thank you for joining us for this showcase, and I want to give a special thank you to Tom Cipullo for all of his hard work. All of us at ECS Publishing Group wish you the very best, and we look forward to the time when we were all together again.